Looking at the world, we all think that we perceive everything as the same as each other. For instance, I'll look at this color blue and just assume that that's how you see it too. However, this could honestly be a dark blue to you or even a light blue, and that is simply just because of your perception. In order to understand this, we're going to have to look at the different components that make up the visual system. For instance, there's the cornea, lens, retina, ciliary muscles, and much more. However, just to talk about how an image is produced and then later on perceived in the brain, we're going to just look at the retina. The retina is there so we can see color and light. In order to do that, we have these things called photoreceptors, and their names are rods and cones. Rods allow us to see the light frequency of things, so whether something is light or dark. Say you go outside and it's super sunny, the rods are going to be excited when light falls onto them. Cones, on the other hand, are something that allows us to see color. When I look at this, my cones, when the light falls on the back of the retina, my cones within there are super excited and they just see the blue. And actually, there's only 3 cones, like colors of cones, and there are red, blue, and green. And so, for instance, say I see this purple color and there is no purple cone. That is just my blue and red cones not being able to differ whether or not that is blue or red. So that is when I see the color purple. And this has to do all with physics. There are also a second pair of cells that are as equally as important as those, and they're called the ganglion cells. These cells send information to the back of the brain, known as the visual cortex, and they do this through the optical nerve, which honestly, it looks like if you look at the eyeball out of the socket, it's just like the stringy part at the end. That is the optical nerve. Well, when pretty much at the ganglion cells, that is when an image is being produced. However, when it gets sent to the back of the brain, that is when we perceive something. All the information does get sent to the back of the brain in the visual cortex. However, it also goes through many different other parts. Our brain, the functions of it are not just for one specific thing. So just this area is not specifically just for vision. Not all of that information goes there. It also goes to places such as the hippocampus, and this is where memory is stored. And so often my experiences have to help with my perception of the world and what I am seeing. It's just like you eat a piece of chocolate, maybe you love it, and I eat it and I hate it because of my experience that I had with it, and that is stored within my hippocampus. I remember that experience. It's the same thing with sight. So pretty much our brain is guessing every day about what is happening. And so it's going through that system of going to the visual cortex, to the hippocampus, and other parts of the brain, and that is why we literally have our own perception. My perception is completely different than my parents, my friends, my sisters, anybody's, and that's the same as you. So overall, being able to look at the different components of the human anatomy, of the human eye, we are able to understand that the photoreceptors, the cones and rods that allow us to see color and light frequency, allow us to produce an image, and then once it is sent to the back of the brain by the ganglion cells, we are able to understand that the brain is the real reason why we perceive everything differently. We may technically see everything the same, however, the brain is what causes us to perceive everything differently.